Yeah, so we'll do it in two sessions, 3 teams each. We're going to have the diligence team leads come up and sit here. Each founder will have 10 minutes to pitch. We'll have a 5-minute Q&A session, and then we'll move on to the next team. We're going to be really brutal about, if the CEOs, if the founders who are going to pitch are in the room, you should listen closely to this. We're very, very strict on the time. You don't get 10 minutes and 5 seconds, you get 10 minutes. So I'm going to come up and start applauding, if you guys all help me encourage them to learn that very valuable lesson at that moment. So you get 10 minutes, and then we're going to cut you off, and then we're going to turn it over to the deal leads, and they'll say a few words about their experiences working with the company, and some follow-up questions that they'll have for the founders. Founders, when you're pitching, you're going to get a 1-minute warning. It's going to come from this seat right here. Then you're going to get a 30-second warning. And then the card's going to go up and you're done. So that's going to happen just before the deal leads. Deal leads, I'm going to call you guys up in just a second. I'll call out those names, and then we'll get started. Again, I just want to remind you all, if you see a company that you like, help them out, give them a little love on social media. NWAngelConf is the hashtag or the Twitter handle that you should tweet out about. What else do I have? I think that's it. So at this point, I want to bring the deal leads up for the first 3 teams. That's Eli Moreno. Eli, if you could come up and grab a seat. Lori Ada Kilty and Mark Sue. Yes, right here. Thank you. Yes, welcome them. So I think John was pretty clear about this, but just so that you all know, so this today is a culmination of weeks of angels learning to be good angels and entrepreneurs learning to be good founders. And throughout that process, everybody was learning the lessons of due diligence. And so now we're going to invite the first company up. The first company is ClaimZen, and the founder presenting today is Langdon Henry.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Chapin Henry, my middle name. I'm the CEO of ClaimZen, and I'm going to show you how we're going to level the playing field for personal injury attorneys. So personal injury attorneys are individuals that represent people that claim that they've been injured at the fault of another person. Think about car accidents, dog bite cases, slip and falls, and the like. There are actually 97,000 PI attorneys in this country. It's actually the largest concentration of attorneys by field of law. So the question is, why are there so many? Well, historically, PI attorneys, historically, there's not enough corporate or law firm jobs to absorb all the graduates from law school. So if you have a graduate degree and no job and maybe some debt, your good chances you might go into PI. On paper, that sounds like a great idea. There's 2.8 million claims filed every year. About $90 billion is transferred through these attorneys from insurance carriers to their clients, and the attorneys take home about $30 billion in revenue. There's a little bit of a problem, though, with PI. Unlike traditional attorneys, they don't bill by the hour. They work on contingency. So if you're in a regular business, it would be as if you were a 100% commission salesperson. It's a difficult place to start. The unpredictability of that business arrangement makes it so that when they start out their practice, they are propelled to go get as many cases as possible so they can start feeding the family. Unfortunately, when they get all those cases, they don't have the time or the money to set up a process or hire the right people or apply technology to their firm. So they get stuck in a rut and they're unable to sort of process all the work all the cases they got. And that is why about 80% of these attorneys are solo practitioners or work in very small firms. They kind of hit a production ceiling. They can't get out of a situation where they have 30 or 40 cases. So the other issue that's facing them is that the insurance companies have known this for years and have stacked the decks against the attorneys. And basically, you've got big companies working with technology, people, and processes going against attorneys who are still working in Microsoft Word and Excel. And it's basically a game of attrition, and unfortunately, the attorneys are losing that battle. So when you look at who's trying to help these attorneys, the going solution is a case management solution. And these solutions are developed to make the attorneys more efficient, but unfortunately, they're just expensive and empty databases. If you're familiar with Salesforce.com, when you get it, it's empty. It's up to the attorney to invest the time and money into putting the data into the system, digitize it so they can leverage the efficiencies out of it. Well, as I expressed before, these attorneys don't have the time or the people to do that work. The other issue is that PI work, just the nature of it, is very time-consuming, administratively complicated, and data intensive. So what we've done is we've designed a solution that's a low-cost automated case management or case preparation service, whereby we offload the due diligence, the document retrieval, and the intake process from the attorney. And by doing so, we enable them to take less risk on the cases they bring in. So we're doing due diligence, which they often don't do, and try to weed out of the 40 cases the bad apples. The other thing is we allow them to increase their revenue by closing more cases more quickly. So the way our product works is very simple. The attorney goes to our site, registers, and when they're ready to engage us, they push a button that says Open New Matter. They fill in about... Okay, back to where I started. The attorney completes a small wizard, and at that moment, we start going to work. We go to online sources, offline sources, and even the injured party to collect information and bring it into the system digitally. With that data in the system, the attorney then is free to leverage it and actually produce a compelling demand package. So essentially, we've applied a process. We've got the right people at our company to implement the process, and the technology really wraps it together, makes it scalable and efficient. It's not necessarily the primary component of our service. Simply, we charge a flat fee for every case we process. $575 is our projected fee per case in 2020. It's paid by credit card at the beginning of the case. And more importantly, the fee may be legally passed through to the client upon settlement. So in the end, we're selling something somebody doesn't have to pay for. Annually, there's 4.5 million claims filed. 2.8 million are filed with the assistance of an attorney. If we were to get a 15% market share, we'd have about 425,000 cases running through our system annually. If you take that number, extrapolate it out, it's about a $250 million business, again, assuming we achieve a 15% market share. As I stated earlier, our mission is to level the playing field for the 97,000 PI attorneys in this country, but our vision actually is to control the largest database of claim settlement data outside the insurance companies. And that stuff just doesn't exist. It's all settled out of courts, and if it's not in court, it doesn't get recorded. So in terms of competition, there are a number of case management solutions. Remember, empty database. A few of these companies focus on PI. We're trying to open up a whole new category of business, which is a case preparation service, because the data, when it's digitized, becomes more leverageable and more valuable. In terms of growth, it's going to be very simple. Nationally, there are 60 chapters of the Trial Lawyers Associations. They're very, very organized. They have about a 95% participation rate, and it's very inexpensive to join the associations and market through them at their CLE events, annual conventions, and advertising. They're a very tight community, highly focused, and they all go to these same associations. So we don't really have to get into SEO, social media marketing. It's much quicker just to go through these channels and or directly email them ourselves. So financials, forget the big grid. Here's what we want to do. 5 years, we want to be in 24 markets nationally. We want to have 6,500 attorneys using the service. It'll be about a $50 million revenue business, and we'll have about 150 employees. And what's really interesting, 6,500 attorneys, that means we have to get 6.5 attorneys out of about 97,000 to like our service. And we went out and talked to attorneys, and I had 36 out of 40 sign on to say they wanted to use it. So it should be a straightforward thing. And then we want to sell the business for $100 to $250 million. And there's some players in the space that could do that. So the team is, a lot of you have met the team before. Myself, I have a business background. David's the originator of the whole idea. He and I worked very closely for about 3 years to take what he knows, to codify it and put it into a program. And then we brought Peter on as our CTO. What's more important is we got 3 advisors that are PI attorneys that are helping us craft the product and soundboard. And the last person, Mark Romano, is a 25-year veteran of Allstate Insurance. He is a well-documented, highly publicized turncoat. He now represents plaintiff-side attorneys in their defense against bad insurance claims. And he's our inside track to what happens on the other side of the dark curtain. So in summary, we're a first mover in a $90 billion market. We have a very powerful time-to-money customer value proposition. We have a high transaction value of $575, and actually the margins behind this are about 50% plus. And the reason why is it doesn't take a lot of our energy to do what we need to do to deliver on a $500 product. We have a compelling 3-year estimated lifetime value. What's something I didn't mention is each attorney has 30 cases to 40 cases. We project they'll put about 18 of them through our system. Over a 3-year period, 18 times 500 ends up being about $31,000. Customer acquisition cost is starting maybe $900 inefficiently, going down to $300 or $400. It's the biggest spread I've ever seen in a business, except one I did earlier, but it was different. Low estimated startup costs. It won't take tens of millions of dollars to make this thing fly. I think that's important for the community to hear. We have early traction. We have 36 beta customers who signed on, and 9 of them paid us $100 cold turkey on the spot to start, so they could see us make this happen as a down payment for their first cases. And then we have an experienced advisor and a founding team with deep domain knowledge. We're solving a real problem that generates cash and can scale. And finally, we're 100% in operational control of what we're doing. And we don't have other people doing things for us. We're not relying on them to carry our message. What we do is directly with our customers, and we do it ourselves. So I think I've been in companies that are different, and it's a challenge. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you. It's probably after all of those.
Let's see where you...
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Perfect.
Hi. So unfortunately, I'm not Eli. Eli couldn't be here today. I'm Swaroop, representing the team. But I think I can speak for Eli when I say that through this diligence process, we had a very positive interaction with Chapin and his team. They were very responsive and helpful, and I think it was a good back and forth throughout. To share with you some of the things that we picked up through the process, the first thing I think was a takeaway for us was that at the end of the day, it's a managed service or an outsourced service that Claimsman wants to provide to all of these attorneys. And the technical or technological aspect is, in some way, it's a bonus. It streamlines it, but the core is not the technology. The core is the service that they're really providing to these folks. Another thing we wanted to push on was Claimsman claims that they can collect these scores of documents from all of these different sources. Is that really practical? And when we tried to pressure test that, visiting police departments, looking through the forms, paperwork, et cetera, I think we came away with some level of confidence that, yes, they can do what they propose to do in that sense. The third question we had was around the team. I think suffice to say that they're all here today. I think that speaks to their cohesiveness and ability to work together. So questions that are lingering for us and some things to talk about. One of the things is, again, it's a service. Where could this go wrong? Where are the potential black holes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so to clarify what the production process is when an attorney engages our service, literally in our office, several work orders will spit out of the system, and we will implement those work orders. In other cases, a slew of documents and request letters will literally print out. They're all pre-populated with data pulled from what was in the database originally, and then we just literally put them in the mail. Unfortunately, a lot of the insurance companies and other agencies don't work with APIs, so it is a letter request process and a letter receipt process. But by defining this process, we've modeled out exactly how many people it would take to accomplish X number of cases in a given month, and that's the model basis in our pro forma of how many employees we'll need. There are some really simple technologies that we are going to be putting in here. So the biggest risk for us is, did we underestimate the number of minutes it would take to functionally process a case? Right now we've estimated 120 minutes per case. The employees needed to do this work on average about $20 an hour, probably a little less. So it's about a $40 cost of good on a $400 sale. One element that we already know we're going to be efficient on is sending our documents, one document, the police report overseas, to have it inputted for about $5. So if we're off by another hour, we're up to $60 cost of goods. The business will still function. It's just slightly different margins, but that's not our goal. So that's it.
Next one here, Chapin mentioned all the case management products that are out there. It seems compelling, and the beta users seems like would attest to that. Chapin, can you tell us a little bit about why you think those case management products haven't extended into this type of service?
I think it's a tribute to David Reed, the founder of the idea. David's career started at Notre Dame Law School, worked at a couple of very large firms in Seattle. Then he went to worked for in-house counsel at about three tech-related and process-related businesses for 10 years. In 2008, his last stop was Washington Mutual, and then at that moment, he went down the street to work at a friend's personal injury firm who was just branching out. So what he had the unique experience of, and I've never seen with the founders of some of the other case management companies, is seeing what business is like, seeing what the law space looked like, and then blending the two together. But this idea has been in his brain for probably more than 5 years, and it's been bugging him ever since. And so I think it's the evolution of how we got here. And the only other short answer, and it's a weird one, is the movie The Founder about Roy Kroc and who really invented McDonald's. The McDonald's founders actually came up with a process that was totally unique from every other drive-through. It sounds silly and stupid, but it was so unique that it drove the business to be very popular. So,
Great. And last
and
question.
we're doing the same thing with our process.
Last question we have for you here is, it's core. These documents and the functions are core to what the attorneys are doing. Is it a risk for them to drop it?
No. The ones we're sending out in our core process are the mechanical documents they'd be sending out, introducing themselves to the injured party, requesting documents from the injured party. We allow them to do the artful work, the strategic work on their own after that, but it's these core documents and these core processes that's driving them nuts. And they don't have a process in place right now, and I can attest that it's hard to believe they're working to Microsoft products. Thank you, Microsoft, but that's all they've got. So, thanks for your time.
Thanks. Good job. We're going to take just a second to queue up the next slide deck. In the meantime, I'm curious, did anybody meet anybody they hadn't met before during that break? See how awesome that is? Nice. Nicely done. So we're going to have another opportunity. Let me share with you. Who didn't get a poker chip? Who doesn't have a poker chip? Okay, so you need to find a poker chip if there are any left. We had a great turnout today, so I'm not sure we have enough for everybody, but everybody should have one and only one poker chip. You're going to use that poker chip to vote for your favorite company. At the end of the last pitch, we'll have a break while the investors go off and deliberate and come up with a decision who gets that check. At that time, you're going to go, that's your chance to go talk to the companies one last time, ask them a question you care about, suss them out, see which company you would make a bet on, and then put that poker chip in the cup. Each team has a cup, coffee cup. Put that chip in that cup, and we'll have an audience favorite winner announced at the end. So if you don't have that poker chip, go out by the, actually I have a few here too. Come get me at a break, I'll give you one. So next up, are we ready? Good, all right. Next up is Foodly. Presenting is Ish Singh. And the diligence lead is Lori. So Lori, at the end of the 10 minutes, you could pop up. All right, take it away.
Imagine, it is year 2020, and you have just arrived at work in a driverless car, stress-free. You are ready to take on meeting after meeting. It is lunchtime. You head to your favorite restaurant, and now you're and with your coworkers. And now you're greeted with a long line. And wait, isn't that what happens at restaurants today? You go to a restaurant, and what happens? You wait in line to place an order, or you wait to get a table. Then you wait for food. If you're hungry, too bad. Then you wait for a check. If it was a full-service restaurant, you would wait to get a check or split the payment. And it's a pain for the restaurants too. And there are other restaurant pains, like shortage of labor and rising minimum wages. These are cutting into their margins, and many are closing down, small ones. Reaching out to customers is very difficult, costly, and painful. Is that what still will be happening in 2020? No. Let's rewind. You arrive in a driverless car, stress-free. You go through meeting after meeting, and when you reach your restaurant at lunchtime, your table is ready. You're seated. Your food is served exactly the way you customized it. You are enjoying a wonderful conversation with your coworkers, and that is what we call a real lunch break. Done eating? Just walk out. What happened to the check? What happened to splitting? Well, that's the 2020 experience, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have to wait till 2020. Introducing Foodly, the future of automated restaurants, cashier-less restaurants, food trucks, is here now. With Foodly app, there's no need to wait in line. No cashier, no point of sale system. You tap anywhere and your order goes directly to the kitchen. You are in control. And you have a beautiful menu full of information to make a good choice. And your payment is automatic. It's happening right now. You might be wondering, what happens to the people who walk in? Surprise, we have them covered. They walk up, you see the kiosk over there, they touch, they can place the order, and it goes directly to the kitchen. Last 3 months, we launched our public beta, onboarded 21 restaurants and food trucks, and we have live orders already happening, massive feedback. We are onboarding 8 more, and we have a pipeline of 80 plus. And we are releasing this kiosk. Let's talk about the restaurant market. It's a massive market with $799 billion revenue in US alone. Out of that, 6.6% comes through online and branded apps for large chains. Delivery only accounts for 5% of that revenue. 83% of that revenue is processed by clunky old point of sale systems. Let's look how much it costs. A point of sale system costs anywhere from $2K to $10K per year. And that's not all. A labor cost, the person who's standing there taking your orders, costs the restaurant $24 to $30K per year per station. Now that cuts into the margin of a small and mom and pop shop restaurant. And we are replacing this with automation, bringing a low-cost solution to small and medium chains and empowering them to compete against large chains who can spend millions of dollars and build that kind of technology. And we'll see who has done it. In this restaurant market space is massive, and there are multiple players, and there is room for everybody. ChowNow, they're a white-labeled app, and they make each app for each restaurant. So if you in your neighborhood have 3 restaurants, you will have 3 different apps. If you have 50, you'll have 50 different apps. That's what their business model is. Allset, it's one app, but it's dine-in only. Foodly is positioned very differently. Our goal is to solve consumers' problem, and not only that, at the same time, solve the restaurant's problem as well. When we do that well, now we are the honey that drives the entire business. And with that data, we will be launching marketing automation, which nobody else has. And not to forget, we are outcompeting every single player in this market. Our revenue comes through transaction fees, and we are adding kiosk subscription fees as well. Later, we will be charging for promotions, featured listings, text messages, email blasts. We have tons of different options that we are going to be capitalizing on. Let's see where the world is going. Millennials spend 5+ hours a day on their smartphones, and they expect to do every single thing on their smartphones. Starbucks saw this trend and decided to introduce a mobile order app. Since we started, it's been growing 1% every quarter. Within 3 quarters, it has reached 10% of their revenue, entire Starbucks revenue. And that's not all. Panera Bread. Panera Bread just announced they're on par to do $1 billion in their revenue through online, mobile, and kiosk combined. And we are bringing this technology to medium-sized small chains that can't afford it on their own, but we can do it for them. Our projections are that we will be in 350 restaurants next year, and in 5 years we will cross 30,000 restaurants. And there are 330,000 independently owned restaurants in US alone. Our revenue is projected to 200,000 next year, all the way to 90 million in 5 years, and going beyond. Our team, sorry we missed the photographs. You can see us right here. So Kulmeet is over there. Kulmeet is a hustler, pretty charming guy too. His last startup, he grew to thousands of users very quickly. And I'll tell you an interesting thing. Recently, a cop pulled him over, and he was about to give him a ticket, and he handed him a Foodly card that said, cut the line. He said, what do you mean? He said, if you go to a food truck, you don't have to stand in line, use the app. So he got a user and got out of a ticket. It's true story. And let's meet Naresh. He's an accomplished serial entrepreneur. His startup was bought by Groupon. He's had 4 startups. He's a successful serial entrepreneur, to say the least. We brought him on as an advisor. We thought we need some help, and he can guide us. When he saw the action, he just couldn't sit on the sidelines. He said, I'm jumping in. I'm joining the team. And welcome, Naresh. Thank you. I'm Ish. I'm also a serial entrepreneur. My last business, I built it to $4 million in annual revenue, and also built the e-commerce platform and processed millions of dollars in transactions for our customers. So e-commerce and mobile commerce is very familiar and a solid piece for me. And one more thing. What could that be? We just signed a 40-location chain. It's the fastest growing sandwich chain. They've signed us up to, and it's called Ike's Place. It's a wonderful sandwich. I went there and tried it. They're not in Seattle, but they're in Phoenix. You guys should fly down there and eat their sandwich. That's good. Seriously. I actually feel like buying a ticket and going tonight. They're launching with us first cashierless restaurant in January 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, the era of cashierless restaurants, food trucks, cafes, and workplace cafeterias is here now. We can make it happen faster, so join us. Thank you for your time. I'll take your questions.
Thank you, Ish, for...
We're going to take just a second to bring up your slide so we can follow along. Give everyone the benefit of the info. There we go.
Oh, well, I'm not sure why it's doing that, but go ahead.
Maybe right here?
No, he's
Okay.
on. Sorry, guys.
No worries. Went to the next.
The back room is managing it.
There's a ghost in the machine.
Yeah.
One moment, please.
Go ahead.
So thank you for a great pitch and an enlightening experience. And also I want to thank the due diligence team, Martha and Chun, Ken, and Richard. Like all the teams, we explored several areas. And I'd like to highlight the strength of this team's technical skills and business acumen. Ish has been the sole developer, and his background in e-commerce has been invaluable to create a service like this, because Foodly is more than a consumer app experience. So when I first saw the pitch, that's what I thought it was. And then the more we dug into it, the more I realized there's just a lot more to it. It's back-end services and hardware to automate restaurant processes. We do have a few remaining questions. The first is, we know your burn rate is low based on the research that we did, and you don't need the funds immediately. So if you should win, how would you use the funds to grow Foodly?
Look, 3 guys, you give them $150K, where are they going to go? Vegas. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. No, don't tell my wife that, please. So we don't actually need the money because we believe in frugality. We believe we can outcompete our competitors by spending very little because we can innovate. But we will need money because it's a massive, massive market and we can dominate this market. And that's what we are here for. We will take this money and go raise more money because we will need it when we are ready to grow. And so we will use the funds that we raise now and in future, we will use it for growth. None of us are taking salary. And another thing I would like to add, I put in $50K at the start of this business, and now me and Naresh combined are adding another $50K to fund this even further. We don't need that money yet, but when we need it, we'll already have it on hand.
So you mentioned your previous business, Kindbase. What are the implications to Foodly if you turn Kindbase into a nonprofit?
Actually, Kindbase should have started as a nonprofit. The whole goal is to help nonprofits. One good news I'll share, this year we helped save a nonprofit that's been 40-year-old nonprofit, local, that was going to go under. We helped them raise enough funds. The implication to Foodly is nothing. The company structure will remain the same. We will issue one restricted license to the nonprofit for the use of software in a fundraising environment. It's the exact same software, it's used in fundraising. And so the nonprofit will have the ability to serve other nonprofits, and so it will have no impact on the business. The business owns the IP, they will simply issue a gratis license or as a grant.
So you talked a little bit about the competition. Clearly, you're not the only player in this field. But why would a diner choose Foodly over a competitor like Allset, which got cut off?
So if you look at this market space, there are many players because there is room for everybody. The other thing is Allset is taking a different approach. They're thinking by giving you $10 because they've raised $8 million, they can just give you a bunch of money to actually get your orders. That's not how people use apps or anything in life. They use it when they love it. Our goal is to build something that people love, use, and then talk about it. Nobody's talking about Allset. They've just raised money by giving, for him, for example, they would give him $50, he will spend that $50 and produce 5 orders. Now they have numbers to go to VCs and say, hey, we've, all this traction. That's not how we are doing it. We are doing it purely organic by feedback, learning from the consumer, making sure that they love the product. If it's not there, we're going to keep working at it. Also, we're solving problems for restaurants. None of the other players are doing it.
Oh, go ahead.
We still have 1 minute, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the restaurants are the ones who get the customers. You're not coming in for the app, you're coming in for the food. And what we are doing is we're enriching the consumer's experience and the discoverability of that and the whole process of transaction, automating and making it friction-free. When it's friction-free, that's what people use. I'll give one example. How many of you remember you went to an airport just a few years ago and you stood in a line to get a boarding pass? You don't do that anymore. You use a mobile order check-in or a kiosk. That's exactly what we're applying to a completely different industry, fully automated restaurants.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is Genev. Jill Angelo will present, and Mark Sue is the diligence lead.
I want you each to think about one woman that you care about. Might be a wife or a partner, a mother or a daughter. Every one of them in life at some point in midlife will go through some health changes related to hormonal change. My team and I are building a digital health platform for these women to navigate their way through this phase of health. My name is Jill Angelo, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Genev. Today, there's 50 million women in the United States between the ages of 40 and 60. And this is the time of life when these midlife health changes start to surface. And it surfaces for every woman very differently. It's hormone related. And it can cause things such as insomnia, weight gain, loss of libido, anxiety, depression, and even hot flashes. Now, these women are looking for all sorts of ways to find relief, and they're spending $26 billion on both traditional and alternative forms of healthcare, treatments, services, and products. And today, the way they find these is typically through Google search or friends and family and word of mouth. So we started to look at what's the femtech market doing for these women in this phase of their life. And when you think about women's health and technology and how it's working within it, there's a lot of attention on the first 2 chapters of a woman's life, the early menstruation years and pregnancy and fertility. In fact, last year, $1.1 billion was invested in this particular market space, with none of it going towards women in midlife. And so we at Genev think that there's a practical application to bring technology and support to these women with resources. The Genève Personalized Digital Health Platform is our approach to addressing this problem. This platform brings a woman together based on her profile and her behaviors, a personalized experience to access information via community and content, to access a modern marketplace, and also to access a health concierge so that she can actually touch base with a health professional face-to-face. Now, a year ago, we launched a web platform or a marketplace and a blog to get in market and start learning from these women. And now we're evolving that and pulling that functionality through into the digital platform, and I'll show you that in a moment. The business model that supports all of this is really based on 3 different revenue streams. First and foremost, the marketplace is our bread and butter on how we make money. Today, our marketplace sells a first-party line of products that my co-founder, Jackie Brandwin, brought to the business. She's a former executive at Neutrogena and developed a line of feminine care products that we packaged and branded Genève and sell currently on our marketplace. We're broadening and expanding that marketplace with health products from third-party providers in addition to our own. Second, we're building a health concierge, and that concierge is a way for women to remotely, via video experience, connect with a health provider and book an appointment. She can do that in 2 ways. Number one, she can book a 15-minute appointment or consult for $25. She can do that as many times as she wants, or if she sees more value and wants unlimited access to this health concierge, she can upgrade to a premium subscription and pay an annual amount of $149. Now, in addition, we're publishing a lot of content because one of the things our audience has told us more than anything is that they want trusted information from health providers. So in the past year, we've worked with over 175 health providers to publish trusted content and podcasts. And today, we see a real opportunity to monetize that content through content sponsorships. Now, our approach to the market is unique. Today, I mentioned women go to Google search or friends and family to find these kinds of resources. So we're breaking into a market and a way of doing things that's different. This is, today we believe Genève is really the good mix of both Google search and personal word of mouth. We're creating a trusted platform that's smart and personalized for a woman, but using technology to scale it out to millions. We're doing 3 things. Number one, we're reducing the complexity that oftentimes search creates by creating a curated marketplace that's backed by technology that personalizes it to the woman. Second, we're combining the algorithms that power our system with a personal touch through our health concierge. Today, modern marketplaces that are succeeding, like a Stitch Fix or a House, really keep their audience sticky and sell more products in their marketplace by also attaching a person and a resource or a specialist that can really give additional service to that user at scale. And third, we're creating a trusted ecosystem because any person in transition, whether you're having a baby or getting married or going through midlife health changes, wants a trusted ecosystem to share and learn from. Now, in the past year, I said we launched a basic marketplace or e-commerce site and a blog. And since that time, we've learned a lot and gained some great traction. Number one, we've got 12,000 subscribers to that experience today. What that means is they subscribe to get our content free once a week. Of those 12,000, or 75%, are paying customers who buy our first-party products that are currently in the marketplace. We've got just over 200,000 in sales. We've doubled that year over year. And we've got a 27% repurchase rate, which means these women are coming back every 3 to 4 months to buy these products time and again. Critical learning as we continue to build out this marketplace with additional brands. We've got some great unit economics around e-commerce conversion and customer acquisition costs that we'll continue to refine and make better. And we're capitalizing on high search volumes for women's health. I mentioned it's one of the most popular ways that women find resources for this time in life. There's 4 million searches per month on women's midlife health symptoms. And in just 3 months, we've moved from being the top 3 ranking or options that come up in a listing across 7 key searches to over 30 searches. And we plan to continue that progression. Finally, we're evolving this marketplace and blog to be a more well-rounded digital platform, bringing in this community aspect and also a health concierge, because we believe it's going to make the experience more sticky. As well, it creates this word-of-mouth engine that continues to build on your marketplace, a secret sauce that other, again, established business models have figured out, such as Stitch Fix and House. From a marketing perspective, year one was all about establishing our brand at scale. And so we built a brand. We also sought out some distribution partners, simply because some of the biggest business platforms out there from a distribution perspective are Amazon and Walgreens.com. And so we thought, let's get our products there and learn further and more about what these women are purchasing and how they purchase. Second, we did a little press and got some great coverage. And third, we actually got accepted into the Women's Startup Lab, which is an accelerator down in Silicon Valley. I just finished it. It was a phenomenal experience, and it taught us a lot. In the next 18 months, the funding that we raise will go towards further growing our business. Number one, we're really focusing on building some great partnerships so that we pull our brand through to their users. Because to grow quickly, we're going to have to go to where the women are. It's other brands that have those audiences in addition to women's events, virtual and on-site. We're going to start Facebook marketing as we have some budget to do so. We're going to continue to refine our SEO growth with the great content that we're publishing in our content marketing approach. And finally, we're going to continue to optimize our funnel conversion. Now, our forecast by 2020 is targeted at $20 million. And you can see how those three revenue streams in our business model break out. The marketplace is obviously our core bread and butter. It's a 4-to-1 ratio to what we believe the subscription model for women who want unlimited access to the health concierge will want. Third following is content revenues, and that just really basically depends on how many content sponsorship partnerships we want to look for. One other thing to note here, in 2019, we will be at a cash positive position. And so as we continue to bring in funding, we're focusing on our funding milestone to be at a cash positive position in May of 2019. Now, in addition to our unique marketplace approach, the team's unique, and I think kind of the secret sauce behind all of this. A number of us come from Microsoft formerly. We know how to build brands, and we know how to launch and build products from scale. Myself, I've got 15 years here at Microsoft, and before that, 5 years at a startup that was acquired by Microsoft. Michael Atala in the back of the room, he's our CTO. He's also got 15 years at Microsoft as a product leader, and prior to that, in a startup environment, starting early as an engineer. Shannon Perry's here as well. She's our director of marketing and content. She's worked in both large and small companies driving content marketing, and she's a published author. And we're really excited this week. We just made an offer, and it was accepted by a chief medical officer who will really govern that health concierge going forward. She's a local OBGYN. Our advisors across health come from Texas Children's Women's Pavilion. As well, my co-founder sits on the board of Governor Cedars, the board at Governor Cedars Sinai. In summary, our vision is to be the go-to solution for women in midlife. And we believe with the traction that we already have, our unique approach to a market that's underserved, and a really great team, we're on the road to get there. Thank you.
That will help here. There we go. Okay, my name is Mark Su, and I'm the due diligence lead for Genève. Just to highlight 3 things that we learned from the due diligence process. So as Jill mentioned, they all had the Microsoft connection, which to us was very important in terms of cohesiveness. They've all worked with each other in the past. But more importantly, I think they all share the vision of this digital health platform, which they're slated to launch in 2018 here. We looked at the market potential in terms of the aging population. There's a lot of demand for that, as well as the product, the reviews in Amazon. I think there were 4 stars out of 5. Most of them were very positive, a few sort of negative, but then I think all in all, very positive here. So I wanted to follow up with a couple of questions with Jill. You mentioned about the 12,000 newsletter subscribers and trying to convert them to sort of fee-paying members. How would you do that? How would you make your offering compelling?
Absolutely. So today, those 12,000 subscribers subscribe to our free content. Our model continues to be a freemium subscription model where they will have free access to our community and our content moving forward. Where we upsell or cross-sell them is in the marketplace and also to the health concierge. That health concierge, as I mentioned, you can engage in two ways. You can book an appointment for $25, which is a super convenient way to do that. Primarily, that chief medical officer that's joining us, she said the other day, as an OBGYN, she has two kinds of patients. She has those that come every 2 weeks and those that don't come often enough and oftentimes wait too long. And in that camp of women who wait too long, it's oftentimes for two reasons. Convenience, takes time to book an appointment, go to the doctor, and also they don't really know if they're really sick enough because there's symptoms they're experiencing, but it's not like a chronic illness, and so they'll wait too long. This health concierge really hits at the sweet spot of customers that are just not being served in any sort of way today. And so really giving them that option of getting in at $25 for an appointment. And then if they want that unlimited service, they can sign up for an unlimited plan of $149 a year. That's kind of that traction or that roadmap that we will likely see happen. And also, just to add on, in our audience of 12,000 women over the past year, they're vocal. They teach us a lot, and the number one thing they've requested are the community forums, and number two is the health concierge. So we're definitely responding to direct customer feedback.
The second question is, how would you balance your focus? Because you've got this product business, I think last year was about 140,000 or so. This year is slated to grow 275,000 gross revenue, so great growth projections. When you're focusing on this digital health platform, how would you balance the two here?
Absolutely. I think this is really an evolution of where we've started from. We started as a marketplace, and as we've studied modern marketplace models as we grow, surrounding a marketplace with that human touch, like the health concierge, has become a proven model. Stitch Fix is about to go public. House is a $40 billion valued company with 40 million users. And so that notion of a sticky marketplace that people engage in time and again because it has that personal touch is a big deal. The community forums is that word of mouth engine, and we're creating that trusted ecosystem. So by moving our marketplace and blog into this broader digital platform, we just think that it's kind of a continuance and it will only grow our marketplace approach.
Thank you.
Thank you.